Excited to head into the playoffs here, against a really good football team here in Tarleton State. Bye week was good for us, and now full speed ahead in terms of preparation for the game on Saturday.
Wofford, go ahead.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good, thanks.
You've got a huge opportunity in front of this team. You've seen what a big crowd can do for you guys at the Dome. Just what's your overall message to fans ahead of the start of this playoff run?
Come watch some playoff football in the Dome. We've got a great opportunity to be able to host a game this week. Hopefully that great crowd, including a great crowd of students that we had on Saturday. I had a great time at the game. Certainly saw a great game. Going to see another great game this week with two really good teams.
Yeah, you mentioned the bye week was good for you. In terms of health, just how is the overall health of this team heading into the playoffs?
Bye week helps. That was a really physical football game against North Dakota State. Getting some guys, bumps and bruises, healed up a little bit. As I would project right now, everybody that played in the game Saturday is going to be available this week. We're looking at maybe progressing some guys along that didn't play and hopefully get them back through the course of this week would be a possibility as well.
Yeah, just specifically going to JJ, missed those final 3 games of the season. Just is there any chance he could play this week?
No more here by midweek. He's making good progress in rehab. It was an injury that requires time, and he's getting really close to where he would be. We'll find out a little bit more this week as the week progresses. Probably be a late in the week decision.
Sure, you watched that Tarleton State-Drake game pretty close. Just what were your overall impressions of Tarleton State and the way they play?
Yeah, really good football team. They got a lot of weapons offensively. Experienced. You can tell they're well coached. They do things the right way. They take care of the football. They cause you stress offensively with their balance, being able to run the football and having really good players on the perimeter and a good quarterback. So they're going to stretch you from sideline to sideline and force you to make some decisions about how you want to play the run and if you're going to create a lot of one-on-one situations outside or not. Defensively aggressive. They're not afraid to pressure and come at you with multiple looks, similar to some of the teams that we face in the Valley. And so it's a game that you're going to have to do a lot of things right. You're going to have to focus on things that we know are important, like taking care of the football ourselves, doing a good job with field position in the kicking game. But certainly stopping the run and finding ways to run the football will be a big part of the game on Saturday as well.
You mentioned they've got some looks like some other teams from the Valley. Just is there any other team that they remind you of that you guys have already played or taken some elements from some teams that you played this year?
Well, there's some of the pressure things. I wouldn't say they're necessarily comparable, but some of the same pressure looks that you see from like a North Dakota or things that you're going to see against from Tarleton. They're not afraid to move people around. They're not afraid to play man-to-man coverage. They're going to show you multiple looks, and so from a game planning standpoint, there'll be pieces that we can carry over from different programs during the week, but I think that's what makes the playoffs great is you're typically playing a team that not only you haven't played, but there hasn't been much crossover in your schedule, and so you're really starting from scratch from a game planning standpoint and building that forward during the week.
Yeah, one thing they do really well is force turnovers. I think they have the second best turnover margin in the country. Just how much more important does that winning the turnover battle become for you guys against a team that could seemingly get a takeaway just at about any moment?
Yeah, it's big. You got to take care of the football. That's an important part of winning football. You got to try to generate some turnovers. We take pride in that ourselves. They've generated a fair number of turnovers, but they've also done a really good job of taking care of the football themselves, and that's key to being a plus turnover margin team. Is you got to do both, and so we got to keep doing that ourselves, keep taking care of the football ourselves. When we have opportunities to force some turnovers, see if we can do that and generate some field position for our offense.
Last one for me. You're going up against one of the best running backs in the country in Kayvon Britton. Just what does he do well? What impresses you about him, and what do you think will be the keys to slowing him down on Saturday?
Well, he's an interesting style of runner. He's not very tall, really strong runner. He'll break tackles, but he's really good at at finding a seam and in their run game. With the long mesh RPOs, things that he's doing. It's really they're getting him the ball and having him read and find that seam in the defense. And so you got to do a good job of gap control. You got to do a good job of rallying to the football. You got to do a good job of keeping leverage, tackling, because he'll bounce a ball outside and take what should be a short gain and make it a long one. He's shown a lot of durability. I think he's averaging 25 carries a game. Carried the ball almost 30 times last week, I think, and so he's a guy that certainly from a running back standpoint, we've got to do a good job of keeping our gap and doing a great job of tackling.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Alex, go ahead.
Coach, in that Drake game, they had the 19-point second quarter. Was there any explosiveness-wise that you think you guys could maybe limit from their offense?
Well, it's one of the things you got to do is you got to minimize their explosive plays. They hit a couple of big pass plays. Again, they're very talented on the perimeter. And what they do oftentimes will create one-on-one situations out there. And so you got to do a good job, battling in those 50-50 balls and making sure that you keep people in front of you. And I really thought, that was where they separated themselves in that game from Drake. In the second quarter, they made some big plays through the air and generated a couple of touchdowns there that got them the lead going into halftime, and then they never looked back from there.
And then just last one for me, your team's mindset all year has been one game at a time. How beneficial is the playoffs knowing that it is only one game at a time now?
Yeah, that's what it's about. It's about playing your best football every week. And again, the maturity and the leadership we have on this football team, they're a matter-of-fact group. They understand the task at hand. You're in the playoffs. You're playing one of the best teams in the country because that's the only teams that are left standing right now. And they understand that everything that we do has got to be elevated to be the very best that it can be. And that's going to have to start this week.